Hello, little wildflowers. Grab a drink and get cozy, for we are going to listen to a wonderful story. Mrs. Bunnywood's Teacup. Morning arrived softly at the Bunnywood cottage, tiptoeing in on pale ribbons of sunlight. Dew still clung to the grass like tiny pearls, and the garden seemed to breathe slowly, as if unwilling to disturb the peace of the early hour. Inside, the house was baking in its own quiet way. The gentle creak of floorboards, the whisper of curtains stirred by a shy breeze, and the comforting scent of tea leaves steeping in warm water. Mrs. Bunnywood moved calmly through the kitchen, her paws sure and practiced. She hummed a tune she learned years ago, a melody passed down like a secret between mothers. On the counter sat her favorite porcelain teacup, cream-colored, painted with tiny blue forget-me-nots. It was old and imperfect, with a faint crack running along its side, but she loved it dearly. The baby bunnies soon followed the smells and sounds into the kitchen. One by one, their chatter tumbling over itself like a stream over stones. Lily padded in first, eyes alight with joy. Georgiana followed, humming and spinning softly, as though the morning itself had invited her to dance. Dante burst in with an energy enough for 3 bunnies, declaring loudly that he was absolutely starving. Andrew entered more quietly, thoughtful eyes taking everything in. Calix came last, pretending not to hurry, though his twitching nose betrayed him. Mr. Bunnywood joined them moments later, smiling at the sight of his family gathered together. Breakfast was soon laid out: warm bread, berry preserves, honey, and bowls of creamy porridge. The room filled with gentle clinks and cheerful conversation, wrapping them all in that familiar, invisible blanket of togetherness. It was during this peaceful moment that it happened. Calix reached across the table too quickly, eager to grab the honey jar before Dante could. His elbow knocked against Mrs. Bunnywood's beloved teacup. There was a sharp clink, followed by a soft, terrible sound. The room felt utterly silent. Calix froze, eyes wide, his ears drooping almost instantly. The other bunnies stared at the pieces scattered like petals across the floor. Mrs. Bunnywood did not speak at once. She simply looked down at the broken cup, her expression unreadable. Calix's chest tightened. I didn't mean to," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Mummy, I really am." Dante shivered uncomfortably. Lily clasped her paws together. Andrew looked as though he wanted to say something, but wasn't sure how. Georgiana's eyes shimmered with concern. Mr. Bunnywood gently set his spoon down. Mrs. Bunnywood knelt slowly and began gathering the broken pieces, placing them carefully on a cloth. Her movements were calm, deliberate, never rushed, never sharp. Calix's guilt grew heavier with every second.
"That was your favorite teacup," he said quietly. "You always use it."
Mrs. Bunnywood looked at him then, her eyes soft, not angry. "Yes," she said gently, "it was." Calix swallowed hard, waiting for disappointment, for scolding, for that awful feeling of letting someone down. Instead, Mrs. Bunnywood smiled, a small, tender smile. "Come, sit with me," she said. Calix obeyed at once, crawling closer. The others followed, forming a loose circle on the kitchen floor. Mr. Bunnywood joined them too, resting a comforting paw on Mrs. Bunnywood's shoulder. "This teacup," Mrs. Bunnywood began, holding one of the pieces, "has been with me for many years. It has been chipped, cracked, and mended before, and yet, every morning, it still held my tea." She placed the piece down and looked at each little face in turn. "Do you know why I love it so much?" The bunnies shook their heads. "Because it wasn't perfect," she said. "It has been through things, it has survived accidents, and even with its cracks, it still did its job beautifully." Andrew tilted his head.
"Like people?"
Mrs. Bunnywood's eyes warmed. "Yes, my love, exactly like people."
Calix frowned. "But I broke it. I ruined it."
Mr. Bunnywood spoke then, his voice steady and kind. "Breaking something by accident does not mean you're careless or bad," he said. "What matters is what comes after." Mrs. Bunnywood nodded. "When we make mistakes," she continued, "we have a choice. We can hide from them, we can pretend they didn't happen, or we can face them honestly, learn and grow kinder because of them." Calix's ears lifted just a little. "Do you know what hurts more than broken things?" Mrs. Bunnywood asked softly. The bunnies waited. "Broken hearts caused by harsh words, and broken courage caused by fear of mistakes." Lily scooted closer and wrapped an arm around Calix.
"It was just an accident,"
she said firmly. Georgiana nodded.
"And we've all knocked things over before."
Dante sighed dramatically.
"I once spilled an entire pot of soup on Papa's boots."
Mr. Bunnywood chuckled. "And I still wear those boots." A small smile tugged at Calix's mouth. Mrs. Bunnywood gathered the pieces of the teacup into the cloths and tied it gently. "This cup may not hold tea again," she said, "but it has already taught us something far more important." She took Calix's paws in her. "Promise me something, my brave boy."
"Yes, Mummy."
"Promise me that you will never be afraid to make mistakes, and never be afraid to say sorry." Calix nodded solemnly.
"I promise."
Later that afternoon, the family sat together at the table once more. A new cup held Mrs. Bunnywood's tea, plain, simple, and unremarkable. Yet the warmth in the room felt richer than before. As the sun drifted lower and the day softened into gold, Mr. Bunnywood wrapped an arm around his wife. "You handled that beautifully," he murmured. Mrs. Bunnywood smiled. They are learning, she said, just as we are. And in the Bunnywood cottage, surrounded by laughter and crumbs and imperfect hearts, a quiet lesson settled gently into place. That love does not demand perfection, that mistakes are not endings, but beginnings, and that family, like a cracked teacup, can still hold warmth, sometimes even more, because of the breaks. I hope you enjoyed today's story, little wildflowers, and let this story remind you that it is alright to make mistakes, and that it is our job to wonder whether we actually learned something from those mistakes or just hold it against ourselves. Well then, till next time, stay safe, little wildflowers.